Hello and welcome to Win, Learn or Draw, the West Tigers podcast, because the Tigers never lose. They either win or they learn. And unfortunately, we've lost one of my regular co-host tonight, Elliot Morton, has been struck down with Winfluenza. It is going around. There's a couple of hot spots, Campbeltown, Leichardt, Conchord. There is no cure. And they usually reckon you kind of contract these viruses when something's like a bit of a shock to the system. The win on the weekend probably was that for a lot of Tigers fans. But don't panic, people, because I've dug up another highly regarded West Tigers fan to join me as a co-host on the show today. Please make it very welcome. It's Kody Totes.
Thank you, mate. Thanks for having me.
Rapturous applause.
Good to be here. I'm usually on the other side of the camera, so.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to having you on, mate. Big fan of your work and big fan of the fact that you're a Tigers fan as well. We're going to get to know you a little bit better in a second, but obviously the Tigers taught on the weekend, 32 points to 6. Kody, you're going to have a crack at summing it up for us in 30 seconds.
Yeah, let's do it. You're going to time me?
Yeah, I'll time you.
Okay.
That's what I'm getting this out for.
What a win. What a win. Round 2. Pretty scrappy start from both sides, but we came good. It kind of went exactly how I thought it would. It was unorthodox. It was free-flowing. It was exactly West Tigers' DNA, in my opinion. And it was just a little sneak peek of what is hopefully to come for the rest of the year for the Tigers.
Yep, absolutely. Love it. Short, sharp, concise, big weekend for the club. And yeah, I'm with you. I think the whole purpose of this show is just to get around the boys on their quest to, rejoin the top 16. And if we see a few more performances like this, hard to argue that we're not going to be there come the pointy end.
Oh, you couldn't rule it out.
Yep.
You'd be silly to rule it out, rather.
100%. I thought, look, I don't know what you thought about the first 20 minutes of the game, but I thought at the 20-minute mark it was, and I said this on the Bloke Show the other day, it was, in the conversation to become a Pooslinger immortal, potentially.
Yeah.
It was very clunky, a lot of errors.
Yeah.
But we clicked, and when we got our mojo, it just, every time we got down there, it felt like we were either going to score or at least looked like we were going to score.
Yeah, it did. It was a big turnaround. I was actually out there. I went out there on Sunday with my dad, which was awesome. It was
Nice.
very, very hot. And yeah, the start was just awful, wasn't it? It felt it was shades of the Spoon Bowl last year.
Yes.
And it was like, oh, that's right. We're actually watching the bottom two sides here.
Yeah.
Because I actually felt there was a bit of hype going into this game.
There was.
And then, the first 20 was awful, but the boys clicked. Appy makes such a big difference to our side.
Oh, absolutely. He was unbelievable. Jareen Buller as well, very good. Obviously, we'll get to a few of the kind of the performances as we pick it apart over the course of the show. But before we do, I just want to get a little bit of a sense of, your journey as a West Tigers fan. So the first question that we ask all West Tigers fans is why?
Yeah, no, that's a good question.
Why do you do it to yourself?
Yeah. Mate, I was born into it. My parents, mum and dad, are both big Tigers fans. And before that, my grandfather was a big Balmain fan. He was born and raised in Rozelle. So right from the heart of it. And
beautiful.
I obviously didn't see much of the pre-merger. So I'm a West Tigers man through and through.
Yeah, a good point I want to pick you up on there, because Elliot and I spoke about this in our first episode. We are both, became Tigers fans post-merger as well.
Yeah.
So, we're kind of quite as happy to wear like a Magpies jersey at a game as a Balmain jersey. A lot of the off-field kind of, boardroom stuff really pisses us off when people talk about it, because we don't really know any different. We're just like, stop trying to de-merge and stuff. Like, it's the West Tigers.
Yeah.
That's the team that we love. Is that the same for you?
Yeah, mate, 100%.
Yeah.
I think it's so dumb. Like, the NRL is never going to let it happen.
No.
The NRL is never going to let either Western Suburbs or Balmain take over the merger.
Yep.
And maybe I don't want to come across as like a salty Tigers fan here, but is it not just the most boring chat?
Yep.
Are we not just over it?
Yeah.
Like, every time this comes up, I'm like, surely Eels fans and stuff don't care about the Tigers merger fighting behind this. I don't know. I'm just so bored of it. Like, let's move on.
Yeah, 100% agree. We're aligned there. All right, so you've been at it for a while. What's your maybe your first and or your best Tigers memory?
My very first Tigers memory is, so I was born in 99, so I was like maybe just a bit young for the grand final.
Yep.
Dad obviously would have been watching it, but I can't quite remember that. But the year after was in the era of like Tarzos.
Yes.
Like, so that was huge. And I remember one night, I don't know where we were, but me and my sister got like these, and that night we both actually pulled a Benji Marshall Tarzo
from
the packet. Which is like, that is honestly my first actual like Tigers memory, the first sort of thing like ticks in my brain.
Yep. I had those too. Benji Marshall from memory was a holographic one as well.
Still got it.
Yeah?
Still got it.
I think I've still got mine at home as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
So that's probably my first one.
Yep.
I was reading through the run sheet earlier today, and we haven't had much to sort of cheer about over the last 15 years. So it was tricky to, like, as sad as it sounds, to think of like my best memory.
Yeah.
But Dad and I went out to Tigers at Leichardt last year when we pumped the Sharks in like round 2 or 3.
Yes.
And that was awesome.
Yep.
Everyone was just going skits. It was like that was sort of, I mean, every year you kind of hope it feels like a new dawn, but like, and we didn't do great last year, obviously, but that was sort of like in round 3, we were really hopeful. Things were coming good, and mate, that was a great night. That sort of sticks out in my mind.
That's where Lockie Galvin really kind of announced himself, wasn't it? He had a hell of a game that night. The only concerning thing about that is that there was the exact same scoreline that night as we had on the weekend. So I'm just kind of hoping the season doesn't pan out the same way.
Mate, yeah, fingers crossed. It does feel different this year, though.
Yeah, it does. It really does feel different. I'm completely with you. Now, I want to ask you as well, if you had to build a Mount Rushmore of West Tigers, 4 icons of the club.
Yeah.
Who would you have on your West Tigers Mount Rushmore?
Okay. So I think the obvious answer here
Lee H. Pentelis.
yeah, Lee, Justin. The obvious answer here is Benji.
Yep.
Scott Prince.
Yes.
Robbie and Brett Hodgson. They're the ones who won the comp. They're the spine. That's a boring answer though.
No, that's not boring at all.
Can I do a bit?
Look at the hair on my arms tonight when you talk through that spine.
Can I do it? Can I do a B, like a second, like a sort of? These are like my.
If you want to do a B, C, D spine, much righto. We got plenty of time. Yeah.
I've done a B one. So I don't know if this is a combination of like my favorite players. I think it's a bit of this, bit of favorite players, influence they've had on the club, and just sort of general like cult hero value.
Yep.
So got Chris Lawrence.
Yep.
Fantastic career. Obviously transitioned into the back row and like just killed it.
The duality of man.
Yeah. Gareth Ellis.
Yes.
Tigers Player of the Year 4 years in a row, need I say more.
One of our best imports.
Tuiaki.
Yes.
Everyone's favourite player.
Yes.
Everyone's favourite
He was
player.
my favourite growing up. I got on TV in, I think, 2007 at Canberra Stadium with a too big, too strong Tuiaki sign.
No.
Yeah.
How old were you then?
I was, 2007, I would have been 15.
Okay, nice.
14, 15.
Yeah, nice.
14, I reckon.
Yeah, nice.
15's getting a bit weird to be having.
Well, he only got like what, 2 or 3, maybe one really good year.
Yeah.
Which was 09.
Yeah.
He got injured that year.
Exactly. Yeah, where he was like top try scorer.
Yeah.
One of the real shame. I'm so glad you got him on your second Mount Rushmore. Yeah. He deserves to be there.
He absolutely deserves to be there. And last but not least, maybe a bit of recency bias here, but the impact he's had on our club already in such a short amount of time, Apasai.
Yeah. Yep.
Appy's got to be on there.
I'm with you. Well, I think we're primed for like, you mentioned that spine that won the comp. There's no reason this spine, couldn't do something, dare I say, similar, charge for a comp at some point. Like, we could be primed for another Mount Rushmore in the next couple of, I don't want to get too ahead of myself.
And to maybe too long of a bow to draw here, Scott Prince, sort of an older seasoned half coming in to join a young Benji Marshall, not dissimilar to Jerome coming in to join Lockie Galvin.
Do we need to draw you a diagram, people? I mean...
That sounded pretty simple to me.
The parallel, yeah.
Did you understand that as clearly as
I'm catching what you're kicking.
Okay.
Yeah, it's simple stuff. I'm with you. I've thought about that about, Luai as well. A little bit unorthodox in the way that he does it. Very similar to, Scotty Prince. And then, you're right, the young prodigy coming through. There's a lot of similarities there. There's a lot to like. Obviously, Appy probably similar kind of hooker to Robbie as well. I think it's a very exciting time. As you mentioned before, like it actually does feel a little bit different. And I know we've probably said that a couple of times over the last few years, but this time it actually does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember being excited in like 2018 when we signed like Chris McQueen and stuff. So you can imagine how I'm feeling now, like with all these off-season signings. It does. It feels like a new dawn for sure.
It's been good. We'll talk about some of these signings when we get to the set of 6 in a minute. But we've done not too badly, which is good. Forgot to mention off the top as well. Thank you to those people who've already got on board, given us a couple of nice reviews, some nice comments. We've got a few people who've even sent us in some merch. Not here yet. And obviously Elliot not here today, but Morty, he usually provides all the wonderful set dressing. We're doing our best. We've got a couple of little bits and pieces sitting in here today, but speedy recovery to you, Morty, and hopefully we'll have you back with all your merch in the next couple of weeks. Also, we said it as well, become a member if you're not already. Make sure you go out there and become paid up and proud of the West Tigers and get around the boys this year because and the girls. It's going to be a big year for the club. Now we're going to get into the set of six now, Codes, and this is basically where we talk about 6 big talking points about the club. They're not all like hugely big or groundbreaking, but they're all important parts of the week that's been for the Tigers and potentially the week that's coming up as well. So tackle one, we'll start off with a nice, easy, well, not a nice, easy one, but something that there's plenty to talk about. Based on what we saw on the weekend, are we good or are the Eels bad? Where do you sit on this?
Mate, look, put it this way. I'm not getting carried away after round 2. The Eels were pretty awful on the weekend.
Yes.
There's still credit to the Tigers. I think we defended really well on our line, which we haven't seen in the past. We've actually been pretty resilient throughout it. It took us going down to 12 men right at the end for them to score. So obviously, the Eels weren't great. But it also didn't feel like, in saying that, it didn't feel like the Tigers played like their best game of the year. Do you know what I mean? Like we played still kind of not great. Our attack was good in parts and our defense was good in parts. But it didn't feel like it took like our best game of the year to beat the Eels. So it's definitely a bit of both. But I'd be worried if I was an Eels fan.
Yeah, me too. Which you love to see, particularly after what they did to us in Spoon Bowl last year.
Yeah,
which was highly uncalled for and uncouth. But look, I'm with you. I think we did look a little bit clunky at the start, and I think that just comes like that. That's the first time that spines all played together. You could see as the game went on, they kind of like started to find their mojo, got used to each other a little bit. The defense stuff as well. I'm noticing so far this season, like. There's a real different like attitude in the like they at times, the Knights game is probably a good example. If that had have gone the same way last year, we probably would have got blown away and probably conceded 24 points. Like we've missed a lot of tackles, but they've scrambled really well. There was a couple of periods there through that game where, and Benji touched on it in the press conference, like they defended so well on our line, that's not something that we usually associate with the club, but that fills you with confidence because that's just like an attitude kind of thing that tells me that they're kind of responding a little bit to what Benji's trying to do. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think Brett Hodgson, who's been brought on in the offseason, copped a lot of criticism for it at the time. Tigers bringing on old players. I believe he's looking after the defence. I should have checked that before I came on.
No, I think you're right.
He is. And you're right. They seem like they've just responded really well. It's like it's the combination of the two. It's the goal line defence looks leaps and bounds of where it was last year.
Yep.
Again, given it's only 2 games, we've played poor sides. But not only that, there's 2 efforts that stick out in my mind from the first 2 weeks. There was obviously the Royce Hunt chase in the 79th minute or whatever on the weekend.
Yep. How good's he been?
Oh, he's been awesome.
Yeah, off the back fence.
And there was one from Jerome Luai in the first game in like the 20th minute where he chased down and batted down a pass on the inside that was like a sure try. So 2 of those things are just like 2 of our signings have come on board and they're just leading from the front straight away. So it's refreshing.
It's good stuff. And it sounds like all these like signings that are coming to the club, they speak so highly of Benji. There's been a lot of criticism, like Benji's never coached the first grade team before, but the way that they kind of go, he puts family first, footy set, like there's a lot of these kind of like new age players kind of, footy's not everything to them, and that's fine. I think that Benji, is this kind of like Gen X kind of coach. It's working with a couple of these players, and the way that they're kind of like ripping in suggests to me that like they love him, and they've said as much in a lot of their when they've been asked about it.
Yeah, it's a small sample size, but it definitely seems like it. Definitely seems like they're responding really well, and the recruitment's been great as well. I think that's like been a big draw factor for a lot of players in coming to the club is Benji's aura, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, just on that, I mean, some of the other recruits, if we want to kind of pick through a couple of them, how have you rated their kind of performances so far?
Mate, they've been awesome. Royce Hunt, we've already touched on. You've probably heard it across a million podcasts already this week, but Terrell May has just been, he was sort of the one, obviously Luai's the main one, but once we signed Terrell, it was like, oh, okay, right. Now this is like, we lost Utuik Amanu and we've gained a better player here somehow.
100%.
Again, and coming to like the bottom side, it's I think you can't do anything but applaud the Tigers recruitment in the offseason. They've been fantastic. And Skelton and Taruva as well, not to mention. Everyone's just been awesome.
Some of the like those two wingers, like some of the best in the game, like just do all the hard stuff out of yardage and stuff. So classy, like finishing and whatever as well. We just look a completely different team with those guys in there.
I saw a stat the other night. I can't see if I have it here, but it was something like the combined wingers ran for like 350 meters on the game in the game on the weekend, which just like I can't find it, but we haven't had that at
No.
the Tigers in, maybe like Nofaluma had a couple of good years there, but it just feels like for the first time in a while, we've just got quality like across the park.
100%.
And like Skelton's, like Galvin's kind of wonky kick out to him and him sliding in and picking the ball up. Like
Classy.
you just don't like, it surprised me. I was like, oh, he actually just caught it and scored.
Yeah. I know where usually there'd be some like hilarious error and the other team would pick it up and go the length of the field. Like, they're looking composed. They're looking good. They've been great additions. And Terrell May, as you touched on as well, like, got a real axe to grind this year. I don't think he liked the way that he got let go from the Chooks. Like, he started off the bench a lot last year. He's come here and bench like, you're the main man. He played like 65 minutes on the weekend.
Yeah.
Hardly looked like he was tired.
No,
in 30,
he could
60.
play 80 for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to see how they manage Terrell.
Yeah.
I don't know if you necessarily want him playing 80 and you probably want him playing that tail end of the game, especially if we're coming down to the wire with teams. You want him on the field.
Agree.
So it'd be interesting to see what Benji does because he obviously did. The first week he took a break after halftime and came back on.
Yep.
On the weekend he played 65 through. So we'll see. But he's arguably the most important part of the new signings in my opinion.
And they've all been doing such a good job. So good to have them on board. So I think in conclusion for tackle one, it's both. The Eels aren't great, but the Tigers, we're good. Like we're looking pretty good as well.
Yep.
Tackle two, the press conference. We pulled it apart last week a little bit. There's just a few little points here. Wanted to get your thoughts on. Bet we've probably touched on the defense one. Benji called it out. He just said, the ability to defend errors, which because we've still got a few errors in us. That's something that's really impressed him. The scramble and stuff around that.
Yep.
I think it's been pretty good to see so far.
Yeah, we touched on it for sure. Just it's just not like anything. Again, only 2 games, small sample size, but not like anything we've seen from the Tigers in a while. Probably since when Ivan was there.
Yep,
our defense was really good that year. But we don't talk about that. That time.
He
that
must
year
not be
anymore.
named.
Yeah,
Matty, we might need to get you to beep that name out.
Thanks, Matty.
Yeah,
but it's the scramble and the resolve in D has just been so impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. Now Benji, he got asked by one of the journos. Do you reckon if this game was last year, you might have found a way to let them back into the game at some point?
Yeah.
And Benji's response was, I don't care about last year.
Yeah. Do you reckon he's got a bit of this from a bit Wayne Bennett? Do you reckon that's a bit sort of Wayne
Potentially.
Like, I reckon that's where that stuff... I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. It's just confident. It's not like he seems calm. He feels composed. Like, I really like it.
Yeah. He just he almost looked like a cricketer who knew exactly where the ball was going to be bowled. He just waited for it and just whacked it. Didn't even run. Just gave it the odd.
Yeah.
I liked it as well. I think it just shows good confidence and, the windscreen's a lot bigger than the rear vision mirror, which is what Benji's big on at the moment.
Yeah.
He was asked about the spine and they go, how proud were you of your, basically the first time that you've seen them out there? He made mention, he goes, our spine was great, so was our 14, Talon De Silva.
Yeah.
What did you make of his game on the weekend?
Talon was awesome.
Yeah.
Talon was awesome. There's going to be ups and downs with these guys, these young boys. I can't remember if it was the trial or round 1. I'm getting kind of confused. Tal didn't have the best game of all time.
Yes, might have been the trial defensively a couple of moments. Yep.
So there's going to be ups and downs, but his impact, he's so good out of dummy half.
Yeah.
And he's so zippy.
Yep.
Like he just scoots and you just like go. It's similar to Appy.
Yes.
When he gets it, he's like, go Tal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's exciting and he brings like good energy as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like we lose. Obviously, we lose sort of the leadership when Appy goes off. But when Talon's playing like that, like the way he did on the weekend, it's like he's the heir to the throne, right?
Yes.
Like he's Appy's heir. So, mate, it's good to see.
It's the perfect apprenticeship, isn't it? Because he's like, you can see all this, the ingredients are there. You just put it on a bit more size, get better defensively. But I think, when there's tired bodies and stuff out there, to be able to pull, get Appy, onto the bench and get Talon out there. It's just like a seamless kind of like rotation. Just keeps the momentum going, which is something we've probably lacked in the last little while as well.
For sure. And he came through the grades with Lockie, so they've just been winning. These kids are winners.
Yeah.
Which is exciting, and it's good. They're not tarnished by the what would you call it? The mindset of the last sort of 10, 15 years.
Yes. We'll get to them more in Tackle 6. I want to pick your brains on Thrive or Survive, the doco. I don't know if you saw much of it, but the young guys. Basically what you're saying, there was a really good to see that kind of mentality around not being used to losing. The last one kind of out of the press conference was Jerome. He got asked about the heat, goes, 37 degrees today. Like, do you reckon you're proud of the boys for kind of rising that? He goes, nah, grew up in this. We live for this. Like, you can't use the heat as an excuse. Again, similar to how Benji answered his question.
Yeah.
He kind of just flat batted it and just
Yeah.
goes, "No, this is the standard."
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, loved it too. He's just so like, to use a youthful term, he's so swaggy.
Yeah, he is.
Like he just batted that away, and I was like, dude, he's that guy. He is. I'm so excited that he's at our club. What a signing.
Unbelievable. He's been so impressive so far. So
Yeah, and a lot of those boys would have grown, like he said, grown up in Western Sydney. Terrell May ran a marathon in the summer heat over Christmas. So
yeah, is that on the vlog? One of his
Oh,
vlogs?
it is. Have you been watching his vlogs?
I've dipped in and out of a couple. I'm quite impressed with the content game that he's bringing.
Yeah, we're getting good insight into the locker room and stuff.
We are.
So, but yeah, like it was cool. It was really, really cool.
Yeah, nice. All right, I wanted to go tackle 3. We're quite fortunate in that, obviously we're recording this a day later than we normally would. So we're blessed that we actually get a look at the team that's been named for this week against the Dolphins. So, look, maybe I'll just kind of run people who are listening through who we've named this weekend. So, Jareem Buller, there was a little bit of a question mark. There probably still is about his foot injury, but he's been named at fullback. Taruva and Skelton are on the wings. Dewey and Stafford Toa are in the centres. Lockie Galvin is at 5'8". Jerome Blue Eyes there as well. Terrell May and Fanua Pole in the front row. Appy's at 9. Samuel Afanu and Seyfarth in the second row. Alex Twile is at lock. He's been so good as well in the first couple of games. Talon De Silva back at 14. Royce Hunt at 15. Jack Bird and Sione Finu round out the bench. Pretty similar teams to last week, but yeah, what do you kind of make of it? And how concerned are you about probably Jareem Buller as well?
Yeah, the Buller thing's probably the only real talking point from this side.
Yep.
Whether he plays on the weekend or not. We were having a bit of a conversation in our office today about whether Heath Mason or Charlie Staines comes in. I'd quite like Charlie Staines to come in. I know that might be unpopular opinion.
No, I've been hearing good things as well from New South Wales Cup.
Yeah, he's been playing good in Cup. I think Heath, he's a great player, but he's very green. It'd be good. I think I'd like to see him just getting reps in New South Wales Cup, just 80 minutes in Cup.
Yep.
He's still pretty young. I'm sure he could still be playing flag. So,
yep.
I hope if Jareem is ruled out, Charlie comes in. I'd probably just back him at the end of the day. I'd probably just back him under the high ball a little bit more.
Yes.
Just a little bit safer.
Yep.
And maybe his D as well. So I think I'm hoping Jareem's going to be okay. If he took a knock like when he scored that try at the end, I think that's what the ankle thing is from.
Exactly.
It's not his shoulder, so that's good.
That's good. That's good news. Because Jizzy was good until that point. That one where we went coast to coast, and he kind of set the whole thing up down the left side there.
And there was the first one as well. Stafford Toa's first try.
Yep.
Where he got the ball flat from Galvin, and then he sort of dug in at the back rower in the centre and really held the ball up nicely from Toa, which I think's been a bit like Jareem has only been he was playing basketball.
Yeah, I know.
A couple of years ago. So I think him just sort of getting that ball playing into his game is really exciting as well. He didn't throw a crazy cutout or anything, but have the sort of the composure to take the ball right into the line there and create that space for Stafford Toa was really promising. And on Stafford, that's probably my only other talking point from this side. How good was he on Sunday? I thought he was awesome. Yeah,
probably maybe his second best game after that big carve up of the Cowboys a couple of years ago. He looked so dangerous and did a lot of good, defensive stuff, a lot of good kick chasing and all that sort of stuff as well. He, if he can keep producing his best, and the consistency's always been kind of the challenge for him, but there's a good footballer there.
Seriously. And you kind of forget about it. I personally have doubted him many times in his time at the Tigers, but then he comes in and plays like he did on Sunday, and it's like, oh no, you can really be one of the best centers in this comp if you want to be. He's just so hard to tackle, and he just feels really, I feel really assured with him in D there. I almost trust him. He's not shooting out of the line and getting it wrong. Dewey, I've still got a few question marks over his D, but when Stafford's out there, I just feel really safe with him there. So, he's been a welcome addition back to the team for mine.
That'll be a bit of a watch this weekend because they've got some pretty good centres, Herbie Farnworth and Jake Avarillo. So going to be, a bit of a challenge for our centres potentially on the weekend. But hopefully they can kind of keep holding up, and they've done a pretty good job in the first couple of games so far. Look, I think when you match these teams up, kind of player for player, obviously you've got a couple of guys there like the Hammer, who maybe might have the wood over someone like Jareem on paper. But as you go through the rest of the team there, I think it's either very even. I reckon we've probably got them covered in most of the key positions.
Yeah, I think so. Funny you say that. I actually think Jareem and Hammer have very similar characteristics.
Yeah.
They even kind of run the same.
Yep.
And they both look like they're not trying ever.
Yeah.
So I think he's kind of, Jareem is obviously a fair way off being where Hamiso is, but he's definitely sort of following a similar path.
Yep.
Yeah, across the park, we're very, very, very evenly matched. I think both us and the Dolphins will finish sort of in that 10th to sort of 13th kind of position on the ladder.
Yep.
This will be a real arm wrestle of a game. I think it will go unders. Maybe forgive me if I'm jumping around a bit here. But yeah, I think we've definitely got the cattle to do it.
Yeah.
But Jareem in or out will really decide how confident I am going into this game, I think.
Yes, it'll be tough at KO Stadium, which is a great stadium. Very kind of small. You get some very vocal Dolphins fans there as well. You know, the one little, I mean, as Benji said, we're not really interested in last year. We're looking forward, but I did notice that the Tigers have lost their last 17 games outside of Sydney.
Perfect.
So ready to write some new history.
Is that true? 17 in a row? So all our wins in the last, 3 years or something have been in Sydney, essentially.
I think so. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Great. And the Dolphins will be desperate as well. So it's not going to be an easy game by any stretch.
I did notice we're outsiders. That surprised me, to be honest with you, because I think if form lines are something to go by, I think we're playing better footy than they are. So hopefully we can keep that going anyway.
Yeah. Well, we did better against the Knights, if that's anything to go off.
Yes. Now, one part of winning this year at the West Tigers is Anthony Field, the Blue Wiggle. Obviously, he's a big West Tigers fan. He has actually written a song that the Tigers will be playing at their home games after a win. Obviously, it was technically our home ground on the weekend, but it wasn't a home game. So I don't know. Did they play it out there?
No, it was at Paradise on Sunday, as they were calling it.
Yes, it's all. Yeah, it's. I refer to it as the 10th wonder of the world, Combank. Leichhardt's the 8th, Campbeltown's the 9th. Combank is the 10th this year. But anyway, we didn't get to hear it there, but we did have the admin of the West Tigers Instagram page posted it. They used the kind of Michael Scott office kind of putting the speaker up to the roof kind of meme.
I did see this, yes, now you mention it.
We only get 20 seconds of it. There's nowhere else to find it yet, but I thought, you haven't heard it yet?
I watched it on the train on the way home, but I haven't really listened to it.
Yeah, I'm going to play it just so we can all kind of enjoy it together. But look, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but low-key banger, so hopefully we hear a fair bit of it through the year.
This is Michael Scott getting up, I imagine.
Yeah. Getting the colours in there.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And
so is this the team song as well?
Well, they still went with the who are we kind of version in the change rooms. This is more just for the fans.
Okay.
So something for everyone there.
No, and did you say Jerome Luai was a part of writing that, or did I?
I think apparently I didn't necessarily hear him there. There's a lot of great voices there, but I'm pretty sure he's involved in laying down some vocals for it. So
that wouldn't surprise me.
Maybe he comes in another verse or something. But shout out to the Tigers content team as well. It's a great edit. You've got like Dwight Schrute and Angela there looking unimpressed. They've got Eels logos on them. A great like level of shade being thrown, like the right amount, I think, for spoon bowl retribution.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thoughts?
The Tigers content team killing it.
Yeah,
but, mate, the song, I like it, really like it.
That's a yes from me.
Yeah, yes from me.
Well done to Anthony and also his son. I think he's involved in it as well. If they're listening and they want to come on, feel free to come and give us the full song at some stage. But hopefully we hear a lot more of it through the season.
Yep.
All right, that's a winner. That'll be also worth a look to be in the hottest 100 come the end of the year as well, if the markets are up as well.
Gets my vote.
I'd be having a look at that. Tackle number 5. Noise around Lockie Galvin. Now, obviously, there's been a bit of movement. Dill Brown's gone to the Knights.
Yeah.
That's had a bit of a domino effect. Who are they going to get? Like, there's been a bit of chat, which is ridiculous already, about Luai going there, which I mean, please. Galvin obviously played there when he was a junior.
Yeah.
But they showed him the door, Kody. They kicked him out of there. They said, you're not made of the right stuff. You're not big enough. You're not going to cut it. So hopefully Lockie just remembers that when he's kind of considering his options. But what do you make of it? Are you worried? And what do you think of it all?
Yeah, mate, there's a lot to unpack there. In this instance, so far, up until this point, I've been pretty pessimistic about this situation, to be honest.
Yeah, I hear you. We've been burned too many times.
Lockie has been nothing but, he hasn't committed to us. He's been really, really non-committal for a lot of it. Obviously, last year he kind of wanted out and they sat him down. He talked him back into it and whatever. And then the chat came up again over the off-season. He still hasn't committed. And Look, fair enough.
Yep.
Fair enough. A lot of new signings, clubs going in a different direction. I totally get it. And I think the most concerning part about it all for me is that his manager is Isaac Moses.
Yeah.
Who has burnt us so many times, which is really, really concerning for mine. But you look at Parra and you go, is that really an upgrade? If anything, they sort of feel like, and I don't want to just base this off the weekend's games, so they feel like they're potentially a step behind us at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Like we feel like we're maybe just 1 year ahead in terms of that rebuild.
Yep.
The team I'm worried about is the Roosters.
Yeah, same.
They're my really big worry. They always have been. I kind of, as soon as this Dylan Brown chat started coming up, I was like, okay, he's going to go to the Roosters or the Knights or whatever, and that's going to leave a free 6 spots somewhere. And Galvin's sort of the obvious option.
Yeah.
So
they're who I'm worried about too, to be honest.
I'm really worried about it. There's no sort of way to beat around the bush there. But hopefully that we can keep playing good footy and he buys into what we do. And all his mates are at the club, right? Like I said, like I alluded to before, Talon and Heath Mason and all the guys he came through the grades with are there. So fingers crossed. I did read an article today actually that when Shannon Gallant came back to the Tigers and took over the pathways again, his first order of call or port of call was to get Galvin back over. Yeah. And he did successfully. So hopefully Lockie shows a bit of faith and sticks with us.
Fingers crossed. I respect the fact that, he's worth a fair bit of cash. So if he's just kind of doing it to kind of just like pump up what we offer him, I can understand that. That's fine because he's, we should be looking to try to keep him on board. But, there's a lot of things, like we gave him a crack where a lot of other clubs wouldn't. Benji, probably went a little bit outside the box. We had guys like Bud Sullivan had come to the club and there's a few people who on paper probably would have been ahead of him in the queue, but he rewarded his good work in the preseason last year. He goes, I'm going to throw you in. So hopefully he kind of, remembers that kind of opportunity that was given to him. The point you make about all the players that he's kind of won a lot of titles with and come through, surely he'd like to stick around and stay with those guys, like the Luali'i brothers as well. Like they're looking pretty good as well. Like some very good prospects. One plays in the middle, one plays on the wing. Obviously Talon. Hopefully there's a bit of a carrot there for him to stay. And Joey Johns had some good comments, which when Denon had him on Bloke, he kind of touched on as well, where he kind of said, look, you can probably go wherever you want and be successful, but if you can take a struggling team to the top, you're going to do so much more for your legacy in the long run. So hopefully some of that kind of stuff is just kind of, playing in the back of his mind and we can keep him. Yeah, for sure. I think the thing that's giving me hope is that for the first time in a long time, the club just feels like it's in a different place. Yeah. It doesn't feel like the place that it was when we lost the Big Four. The other dark time in the club's history. Notice how none of those Big Four were on our Mount Rushmores. Isn't that interesting? They got left out. Yeah. They got left out. Something to note there. I don't know. We'll see. I think if we keep winning games, I think it's an appealing place to be. I think playing alongside Luai and alongside Taruva, I think we're building a really good culture and mate, it doesn't seem like it's about the money for Lockie, like everything I read about him is that he's a footy nerd. He goes home and watches all the other games. He doesn't go out and drink. He just hangs with his family. And so I think if anything, it'll be more about the club that he's going to and sort of what they're about. I imagine getting wined and dined by Uncle Nick at the Roosters would be hard to say no to. But yes. A sit down on Straight Talk with Mark Bouris as well. Pretty tempting. Pretty tempting. Yeah. Or Mentors as well. Another one of his great shows. Hopefully Richard and Benji can dig in and get it done. Absolutely. What sort of lengths would you go to personally to keep him at the club? Is there anything that you would do, some sort of protest or, tattoo or, you've been known to do it in the past. You've gone the tough carry with the baggy pants in the past. Would you potentially go like a longer stint or? The baggy pants month was tough. Yeah. That was really tough. Would you go there again though to keep Lockie Galvin at the club? Yeah, you know what? I probably would. Sleeping in those things, well, when I went into that bet, I was like, I'm just not going to lose this. Yep. And that was naive and it was arrogant and I got burned by it. Yep. But would I do it again knowing the consequences to keep Lockie Galvin at the club? Yeah, I would. Great. I would do it again. That might be a clip. Clip that up, I reckon, Matty. And tag Lockie Galvin. Tag him in it. Just so he knows. You heard it here first. Yep. I would seriously consider adopting his preseason look of the frosted tips and the goatee. Jason Ackermanis goatee. If that's what it takes, I will roll around with that. You know what? I'll do that as well. Yeah?
Yes, clip that up as well.
Yeah.
Can I tell Maddie what to do now I'm in front of the camera? Maddie, clip that up. Mate, I would do that for sure. Because I've only ever known you with a beard.
Yeah.
How offensive is the goatee? Is it?
It would be pretty offensive. I've been on record saying this before, and you've got a face like mine, you just cover it in as much hair and glasses as you possibly can. That's why I've always had the beard.
Yeah.
But that's the length I'm willing to go to keep Lockie Gavin at the club. I'll strip it back. I'll go the goatee and go the peroxide kind of tips as well.
There was plenty of boys out at Combank on Sunday with the Lockie Galvin kind of look.
Nice.
And he actually came back this year looking significantly, and I don't mean to be so crass, but significantly hotter than he looked last year.
I am going to allow that level of crassness.
Do you know
if that's what it takes to keep him at the club.
Is that fair? I was seeing those preseason pictures of him with the blonde tips.
Same.
And I was thinking this is our year.
Yep, he'd gone away and he'd been bulking as well. Like he'd put a little bit of size on too. So, yeah, hopefully we can keep him. Yep. We've gone on record there. We've said some of the links we'll go to. If there's any other links you'd like to see us go to, let us know in the comments on the YouTube page as well. Mort, you're not off the hook as well. You're going to have to shave the goatee and do the peroxide. He'd look a bit like the Tiger King, I reckon, Mort. Yeah.
I like that we've roped him in for this as well, even though he's not here.
Yeah, well, he's part of the show. So
comes with the territory.
We'll just tell him about it later.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. So I think we've solved that. Lockie Gavin stays at the club now for 10 years, which is great.
Yeah, feels like we solved that, yeah.
Tackle 6, just wanted to get your take on the doco, Thrive or Survive. 2 episodes, which I like, leave them wanting more, short, sharp, but great access to the club. We spoke about it a little bit last week, but what did you make of it? And was there any people in particular, be they coaches, players, whoever, that you learned a little bit more about hearing them mic'd up and behind the scenes there?
Mate, as the Tigers tragic that I am, I was absolutely foaming at the mouth for this. I put it on in the office last week and made the boys watch it with me.
Yep. What do they think?
I think they generally, when I sort of start going on Tigers, with Tigers rhetoric, they tend to just block it out.
Okay.
Which is fair.
Yep. Well, after what happened to them at Leichardt last year in round 22 or thereabouts.
Yeah, that was a tough night. And they don't let me talk about that either. I get shot.
Yeah, you can talk about it as much as you like here.
Well, it's good to be here. I loved the doco. It was a great insight into what goes on behind the scenes. And to get an insight, you hear about players talking about these army camps on podcasts. I remember listening to Ryan Papp's one on Denon's podcast and just going, oh my God, this is so etched, dude. So to get an insight with the players that I love in the club was really awesome. Obviously, the Jareen Buller moment sticks out.
Yep.
If he wasn't my favourite player already, he probably is after that. He just so quiet and unassuming, and for him to just it made the hairs on my arm stand up. It gave me goosebumps. I was absolutely frothing. And from the second ep, there was the two, I think it was the day one and the day two. The day one when the young boys won. Yeah. They kind of got together and they were like, we're winners. We're winning this day, sort of thing. I don't really know how they were they were doing challenges against each other.
Yes,
right?
Yeah. They were all kind of mixed up at the start in terms of experience and caliber, and then Benji wanted to see a bit more leadership come out of the younger guys group, so he put them all together.
Yeah.
And then they kind of rose up and did really well because they're used to winning, as they said.
Exactly. And then the following day, he obviously he ripped into the older boys a bit.
Yes.
Being like, lads, how are you letting these young boys sort of get the wood on you, and then they responded too, and then they won the second day, which was really cool to see. It was really cool to see the squad responding across the board, and also I thought it was really cool to see the squad more than anything responding to Benji.
Yep.
I thought that was my biggest takeaway from it more than anything. Like we touched on already, it seems like a lot of these players, the younger boys and the older boys, have a lot of respect for him, and obviously, we still haven't seen, or there's still a lot of question marks over his tactical nuance. But for what it's worth, it seems like they're responding really well to him as a player manager, as they say.
Yeah, it just goes. Yeah, each time he pulled a group aside and goes, "What's going on here?" And he challenged them, or whatever. They all rose to the occasion and got around it. It's just interesting as well seeing a coach he calls them all bro and stuff like that. It's very familiar, but it's it looks like that's what this kind of group of players wants and needs.
What did you think about the Jareen Buller?
Oh, couldn't believe it.
How cool was it?
Unbelievable. Yeah, we were talking about it last week as well. Just probably with the greatest respect, the last person I thought who would have been like, yep, I'll do it. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then the camera kind of whips around and you see it's Jareen. You're like, that's elite. That's exactly what you want to see from a guy like him. Particularly because he burst on the scene, did so well. A little bit of a quieter year last year. Then he started to come good, got a bit injured. to just like show that kind of level of like, yep, let's go.
Yeah.
And all the boys loved him for it as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's going to pay dividends, I think, through the year. That it was a great moment. I'm with you. I was just like, how good's this? Where's the nearest brick wall?
Yeah.
Basically.
I'm going through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Leadership across the board. Like, he's obviously not the most outspoken guy. But yeah, just leadership through actions I thought was really cool. And like cutting to Appy being like, I thought it was impossible. I didn't think anyone was going to do it. And then Jareem's just like, I'd do it. And all the boys following me around screaming. And it would have been a pretty cool thing to be a part of.
Absolutely. And then the guy who's like running the thing, I don't know, they're not like the
army.
The army guy.
Yeah.
He goes, that's the best effort we've ever seen at that from when someone said, I'll do it myself.
Yeah, which is incredible.
Unfortunately, he still didn't complete it though, so get down and do 90 burpees. Tough love, but that's
they chose to do it.
Yeah,
he gave it up to them. They were like, you didn't do it. Are you going to do the burpees?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're going to do it."
And then you got they're all doing it. And then you did see like because Jareem looked like he was about to collapse with the water thing.
Yeah.
He was just kind of doing the air squats, but credit to him, he was still moving around. And it still gave me chills thinking about it. So
really good watch. If you haven't watched it, and because I watch all stuff from all the clubs,
Yep.
the Panthers one was really good as well. If you haven't watched it, it's really worth a watch.
Yeah, is it better than the Manly one at the moment?
I haven't seen the Manly one.
Yeah, Ella's been talking a lot about it on our other show. For me, I haven't watched it yet.
What's it on? I actually haven't seen anything about
I think it's just on their YouTube channel.
Okay.
Too many episodes for me.
How many is it?
I feel like we're at least at the 6 or 8 mark.
Who's got the time?
It's all like pre-season.
Who's got the time?
Yeah, I know. I'm like, cut to the chase.
Yeah.
Like Benji with his communication. Just be concise, clear, and simple.
It's pretty simple.
And we saw that what happened to Manly on the weekend just because there's too much noise. Like, they couldn't hack it on over there at Mount Smart Stadium. Anyway, great doco. If you haven't watched it, go and check it out.
Absolutely.
A really good watch. Now, this next segment we're going to do, this is our top 05. Now, I was explaining this one to you earlier.
Yeah.
Obviously, 05 is the greatest year in the West Tigers history.
Yeah.
Rather than just doing a top 5 countdown, just to evoke a little bit of nostalgia and, some happier memories for Tigers fans, which, after the last few years, we do need that kind of feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It's the top 05 countdown. Now, the category this week that I've challenged you with is your top 05 West Tigers jersey sponsors.
Yeah.
So over to you. Take us from 5 to 1. And we might just stop and kind of like push a little bit further along the way on a couple of these.
Mate, I'd love to.
Yeah.
I will, just as a prerequisite, as I already mentioned, I'm kind of like 05, 06 onwards.
Yep.
That's kind of where I start.
Yep.
So at number 5, I've kind of just put this one in because I think it's great. The brand new, the fresh.
Yes.
What's the Greek god with 3 heads or whatever? Cesaurus or something like that? Cerberus?
Yeah.
The triple-headed tiger love heart.
Yep.
It's great.
Yep.
What did you have? Do you know the one I'm talking about?
I know the one you're talking about, Empower.
Empower, the community thing or whatever it is?
I think it's sitting on the back of my new Tigers Legionnaires hat, which I've removed the flap from, which you can do check it out at the Raw store if you want to get one. But it's sitting on the back of that. It's on all the training gear as well. I believe it's our community program, which is great as well.
Yeah.
So it's more of like an internal sponsor, but love it.
Yeah, got a bit of flack. I was like, I think this is pretty cool.
I think it's good. Who's the first player you associate with the Empower logo when you think of it?
Ooh, good one. I'd maybe say Skelton. I feel like when they were taking new training photos of the new boys, he's the first one that comes to my mind.
Love it. It's a yes from me and a worthy member of the top 05 jersey sponsors.
Well, just at position 05 right there for you.
Love it. Love it. Number 4?
Number 4, this one is for 2 reasons, and to get a bit graphic design nerd, this
little peek behind the curtain here.
Yeah. I always like the integration of the Proton Cars logo on the jersey.
Yep.
The white text on the black jersey, and I think even in 06 or 07.
Yep.
On the orange jersey, it had like a white stroke around it. God, that's dribbly for people listening. But that one is extremely nostalgic for me. That one I've got. Maybe I'll give you a player for each of these. That's giving Brett Hodgson for me on that one.
Yeah. Brett Hodgson.
Yeah, Brett Hodgson.
Yep.
Because that kind of went into 08 as well, I think.
It did. They debuted the Proton logo, I believe, in the 06 World Club Challenge, where we had a really rare looking jersey, but the Proton was right there in the middle.
There you go.
And there's a great shot of Brett Hodgson having a shot at goal with that Proton. I don't know if it had the white stroke or not. Let us know in the comments. Did it have the white stroke? But a great logo.
Yeah.
Hodgson,
and synonymous with the Tigers from that era.
Absolutely. Synonymous. I love it. So that's number 4?
That's number 4.
Yep. Number 3?
Number 3, I've got Hire Appliances.
Yeah, okay. Yes. Now
you know what I'm talking about?
I do. Yep.
I think they had the upper back at some point, and they also, I think, had the lower back at some point.
Yep.
Around the Scott Prince kind of era. I think that was a couple of years maybe before. It might have crossed over with Proton a little bit because they were the back sponsor. I'm not 100% sure. Again, it's the nostalgia factor for this with me. It reminds me of fonder times. And like I said, Scott Prince, one of our greatest players.
You're getting Princey vibes. I'm probably getting Bronson Harrison sort of vibes from the Hire logo. That's just me, though. That's just me.
I like it.
Yeah. Hire, they were like, were they like white goods and stuff like that?
Yeah, appliances, I think, right? Like, I don't know, fridges.
Yeah. All that good stuff. Yep, I'll take it. So that's number 3.
That's 3. That's my 3.
Stacked field so far.
How do you get in here?
I know, it's tough.
Where do you go?
Pointy end. I mean, there's a couple of iconic ones that, you'd hope would get to the pointy end, but, over to you. Who have you kind of got?
Well, I'm actually sitting alongside potentially the number 1 ambassador of this one. JFTA, Petrochemical Services.
Yep. For all your petrochemical services needs, get around them. Now, didn't they time their sponsorship well?
Oh,
they basically dipped out. They dipped in and out in 2005. They said, our work here is done, and they left us to it.
Yeah.
It's iconic. Who would you say, would you align with them?
Mate, this one probably gives me like Mark O'Neill.
Yeah, nice.
I don't know why.
Yep.
I feel like I've just got an image of him scoring in a JFTA jersey.
Yep.
But again, I really like the way that almost, as you can see on your jersey there, it's got that kind of orange stripe across the top, and even the text kind of matches the energy of the jersey. So I think it's integrated really well, and mate, cherry on top, 2005. How can you go past it?
It's so good, and I think it's a good point you make about the integration, because hey, shout out to all of our wonderful sponsors at the West Tigers, but from time to time, they don't quite mesh in properly. It just feels like it's been slapped on the front.
Yes.
Shout out to those sponsors who find a way to just make it work and, become one with the jersey.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So that's number 2.
That's number 2.
Number 1?
Number 1, again, Waka Noodles. Look at the double sleeve Waka Noodles, dude.
Yeah.
How do you go past that?
Yeah. Noodle arms, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a great jersey, wasn't it? Like, everything just came together. You've kind of got a little bit of the similar kind of colour scheme in there.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And greatest flick pass of all time thrown in that jersey. So
is it Benji?
It's Benji.
Or is it
Pat
Pat Richards?
It's got to be Benji.
Yep.
It's got to be Benji.
Nice.
And that famous photo of him like jumping after he's won. You know the one I'm talking about? He's kind of jumping in front of the camera. I think it's on after they've won the grand final. And it's on his sleeves.
Love it. No,
that's my number 1.
That's a great top 05. Can I give you a few honourable mentions?
Please. Please.
I wanted to give a shout out to Herbal World from 2004.
Yep.
I'm just trying to think who from that kind of era.
John Scandalis era, maybe?
Yeah, that's a great shout. John Scandalis, maybe Ben Galea.
Yeah.
So they did some great work in some Herbal World jerseys. Donny's good as well from our inaugural ones.
Yep.
Shout out to Joel Kane, friend of the show.
Oh, yeah. Tigers legend.
That's where I kind of go to with that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then Meriton as well.
Yeah.
That's it, because we've had Meriton in a few different iterations.
We have.
It started at the very early days with a different logo, and then it came back in happier times. I reckon kind of like 2010, 11, around that sort of time.
That's the one I remember.
Yeah, where we were humming. I'm thinking sort of your Bo Ryans kind of that era.
Yeah.
Just good times.
Great times.
Yeah. So there's a lot of great sponsors out there. Unfortunately, you can't all make the top 05, but I think you settled on a pretty good mix of them.
We could probably do another whole podcast just on this.
Absolutely.
I struggle to squeeze them in, I'm going to be honest.
Might be one for the Patreon page. You want to get that one going?
Yes.
At some point. You got to pay. Yeah, if you want to get the real hardcore logo stuff, you got to go to the Patreon.
Yeah.
Which we haven't set up yet. All right, Raw Emotion. Now, we put a call out last week. This segment is all about giving people a platform to kind of voice how they're feeling about the Tigers, and win, learn or draw. We want to hear from fans straight after the game to let us know how they're feeling, what they're thinking. So I've got a couple here that I wanted to play, and we can have a quick chat about them off the back of that. Mm-hmm. So the first one I've got here, look, I'll just let the voice.
So are these coming through Instagram?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Until we find a better way of doing it, which I'm sure there are many.
Sure.
They're coming through the gram. But here's the first one.
Hammy, Kody, love your work, boys. Anonymous caller calling in here with a case of Winfluenza, as you can tell from my raspy voice. It doesn't come around often, Winfluenza, as a Tigers fan, but tell you what, it hits you hard when you get it. I just wanted to say a couple of things that stood out to me yesterday that got me really emotional. One is, I can't believe it, but the bounce of the ball is finally coming the Tigers' way. That little grubber through from Luai and then the chip over the top from Galvin just showed. And then the Dewey kick through for Galvin. All these footies are bouncing perfectly for us, where I swear for the last decade they just never did. Even the refs are on our side now, like that forward pass, it was so blatantly forward. divine intervention stepped in, aka the video ref, and called an obstruction on them. It's like these things just did not. They used to happen to the Tigers, not for the Tigers. So it's got me very fired up, boys. Very fired up. Top 16, absolute lock, and I reckon we can go. But I don't see us losing a game from here. Up the Tigers.
Good to hear from Darren Lockyer there.
Yeah, mate. Sounds like a really big fan of the show.
Yeah, well, that is Morty. Obviously couldn't be here today. He's gone down. He's actually quite sick, but obviously I don't get sick anymore because I take Good Day. Not an ad, but I'll give him a plug. Been doing it for 12 months, and I'm still here.
Not an ad.
Yeah, no Winfluenza for me, even though I did enjoy the win. Great voice note. He's emotional. Would have loved to have been here, but credit to you, Morty, for kind of sharing your thoughts. He's so right, though, isn't he, about like bounce of the ball, couple little moments there that usually, not that it was a tight game and it would have ended up costing us anyway, but just things were happening for us on the weekend that wasn't always the case.
Yeah, it's a great point. I guess I kind of like touched on it earlier without realizing it, but that kick Luai did through the line was kind of gross. Like he got caught on fifth tackle with nothing on, and it kind of weirdly popped up for Jack Bird, and Galvin was there as well, and he kicked it over, and Giral had the. Well, it kind of just he did fantastic, but yeah, like you say, the ball bounced his way.
Yeah,
it hasn't happened.
No,
it hasn't happened for years.
I know it's good stuff. A bit of divine intervention there as well. The obstruction, absolutely love it. Couldn't agree more. I've got a couple more here. This one comes from not one of the hosts of the show. This is from Tom Brown. Let me just. Here we go.
Gentlemen, I've been saying it for weeks. All right, Hammy made a promise to me, and you never pulled through. In 2017, we had Get on the Bus. Ivan Cleary left us and went and won 4 premierships. You know what we did? We stole their boys. And here we are on our way on the Say Barge, on the shoulders of the Say Barge. A man who plays with raw emotion every week. ROAR. Get on the Say Barge. We are trawling through the waters of the NRL season into the top 16. Let's bloody go. West Tigers till I die. 2040.
Shout out to Tom there, repping the postcode as well, which I like. A nice touch at the end.
Absolutely.
And apologies, I did meet him at the trials and did say I'd get the Say Barge thing kind of happening, and I didn't do that. So apologies for not upholding my end of the bargain. But yeah, he makes a good point.
Makes a great point.
Loves the club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have to run with that.
The Say Barge. Hashtag Say Barge. Let's get that trending. I've got one more here that I was going to play if I can find it. This one comes from Claws Out Bebe.
Ignore every complaint I've ever made. Lachlan Galvin is the next Andrew Johns. Jerome Luai is already Andrew Johns, and we will be winning the premiership.
Short, sharp, concise, and nails the point there.
That nails the point.
Yep.
Yeah, nails the point. Lockie Galvin is the next Andrew Johns. I'm happy to go there.
Yep.
If he decides to leave us, I retract that statement, and he'll never be spoken about again.
Yep. And Jerome Luai already is, so couldn't agree more. Not much more we can add on that one. But thanks for getting those in. That's raw emotion. Keep them coming. Now, there's a few people going, we can't send you voice notes. Just let us know that in the DMs, and then we'll kind of like accept you, and then you can get in there and the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So let us know. We want to hear from more people over the next couple of weeks. Look, we've kind of already touched on the game coming out this weekend, the Dolphins at Kayo Stadium, but in a nutshell, how are you feeling about it? How do you see it unfolding, and what's your kind of prediction for that game as well?
Yeah, mate, like I touched on, I think whether Jareem plays or not will almost be the deciding factor in this game.
Yep.
I think it's going to go really close. The Dolphins are going to be really tough up there. They're going to be desperate. They're going to be a lot more resilient than the other two sides we've played this week. They're going to be a lot more disciplined. They're going to be tidier, and there's going to be less errors. So we're going to have to be the same if we want to beat them. They've got big middles. A lot of them have got good offloads as well. So I think if we can nullify that, and Isaiah Katoa as well, I think that is where majority of their points comes from. He's got a great running game. Both of their tries on the weekend came from Katoa taking the line on. One he went straight through. One he went through and offloaded the ball, which I'm sure Benji would have recognised. So if our middles can sort of tidy him up or keep it tidy and then look after Katoa, I do think we can win. The one thing I think is interesting, Benji coming up against Jeremy Marshall King, his brother, of course. I wonder if there's much. I wonder if there's any insight, not into the Dolphins, but I wonder if Benji's not got the wood on him, but got any sort of like quips about how he plays and any way to sort of like nullify the ruck
Yeah, hopefully he's instructed the boys how to completely shut him down and take him out of the game. Yeah, that would be interesting to see. Like, that's an interesting little relationship that they've got there. Hell of a player too, JMK. He's been fantastic for the Dolphins over the last few years. I'm with you. Katoa, gun.
Gun.
But our forward pack's been so good in the first couple of weeks. Hopefully they can put him under, a fair bit of pressure.
Yeah.
And but yeah, he'll go a lot. If they do beat us, a fair bit of it will come through Katoa, you'd imagine. The other one's just that battle of the centres. Like, that'll be a tough challenge for Dewey and Toa.
Absolutely.
Just to keep those guys quiet. But look, they've ripped in the first couple of weeks. Dewey, you mentioned, you still maybe need a little bit more convincing there, but this will be a great test. If you can keep these guys quiet, that'll go a long way to helping us out as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure which side Herbie's on. I know Dewey moved to the left last week, so if Herbie's on the right, they'll be marking each other.
Yep.
I can't remember it. I think I don't know. I can't. Maddie, do you know what side Herbie plays on?
Played on the right in round 1, so he could float here or there. He was up against Jack Whiten in round 1, but he did play on the left last year, so
okay.
I guess recency, you'd say left.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, okay, interesting. Yeah, Dewey's my concern. Dewey's my concern in D. But at least if they're kicking high, I'd back Dewey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Him and Herbie be a similar build, but I'd back Dewey to sort of get up there. I just get worried when he shoots out the line. He shoots out the line, and if he falls off that tackle, I think we could be really susceptible to points out there. That's still, I said the Tigers were great last week and our edges were good, but it's still definitely probably our biggest concern. I think we can win the middle. I absolutely think we can win the middle, but it's a great point you make. I think the centers will really be the difference for either side. I'm
with you. It's going to be a tight one. I'm going to borrow one from Mort here, who's not here. If he was, he would have said it. Tigers 1-12.
Yeah,
I think that's my prediction.
Yeah, nice.
We got a nice surprise last week, a 13+, but this one feels like it's going to be tight.
Yeah, I'd go Tigers with the line, into unders, into Giral. Yep.
Love Giral. Left wing is outside Luai. I've just got a happy habit of, picking up plenty of tries through the year. And he's looked so good so far. So I'd be happy with that. Mate, that's basically it. Thanks so much for coming and joining. Great to test the squad depth here on win, learn or draw. Good to know that we've got, much like the club themselves, we've got like a lot of people who are ready, next man up kind of mentality around here. Fantastic debut. Thanks for joining us.
Mate, thanks for having me. Starts from the bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, thanks so much. We'll see you next week. Hopefully all going well. We're going to get into a rhythm. It'll be Tuesday morning. The pod will be up. Unless we get a bit more Winfluenza, and hey, we can't do much about that. Top 16, here we come. We'll catch you next week.
Bye.